going to start looking at the Illinois Basin itself. So we secured our first oil asset back in 2017 of June. So this actually allowed us to sort of get in the game, and it was a diversification in the company. You know, the petroleum report that we've got filed at the SEC website, we've got 62,000 barrels of proven oil reserves and 715,000 barrels of probable oil reserves. So essentially at an oil price, that's about $36 million worth of undeveloped reserves in our first lease. So since we've actually got qualified with the SEC, now we've actually acquired 30 oil assets. So initially, just to give you a bit of background into the company, when we first got qualified with the SEC, we were an oil and gas information company that provided information and oil contracts. We pivoted the company when we got an opportunity to win our first oil contract in Illinois, and that was really due to a colleague and our oil intelligence director, Shane Fraser from Scotland. So he was a veteran working with Shell for 25 years. I got him to join the board, and we got this opportunity to acquire this first lease. And essentially, it basically allowed us to grow the company because we were qualified with a company without any oil assets, and this essentially gave us our first asset. So what happened was, off the back of this first asset, we refiled the company offering with the SEC, and this was qualified again in 30th of November last year, and that's where we got the share price change from 25 cents to $1.50. And essentially it was to do with the growth of the company, but it was acquiring this first oil asset. At the time when we got this first oil asset, the share price was $1.50, so we're a pre-IPO company working through different rounds of funding. So if you think about it, we're going to go through 3 rounds of funding before we go public. At this point, we're at round 2 of funding. When we acquired that first oil asset, the oil price was $46. Now, this actually helped us as well, because I think if we were going to come into the basin, we might not have got the right opportunity to acquire the oil asset at the right time. But the good thing was that the oil price crashed, and essentially by it crashing, it created opportunities, and it created an opportunity for Ziyen to come in and get this first asset. And once we got the first asset, it basically took us to the Illinois Basin, and then we started to realize there's a huge opportunity to not only bring business back into America, but to start developing these older basins. At that point there, and you know, David Rogers is going to speak about it shortly as well, it allowed us to launch our Ziyen Advantage program. So we're going to talk about this in the next 10 to 15 minutes, about what is unique to Ziyen and what we're trying to do that's slightly different than what other people have done in the marketplace. But essentially what we're looking at is that once you actually produce oil, the biggest cost is the cost of electricity to move the pump jack up and down. So you'll have seen them in the movies, the pump jack that comes up and down. It's the electricity you have to pull off the grid to power the motor. Now what we're about to do at Ziyen is we're going to use renewable energy to create that electricity to actually start to produce the electricity to power the motors, to power the pump jacks. And we believe this will actually help us drive down our production costs.